I'm Coach Chris Gibson.
Jonn.Barrameda back here, your neighborhood nutrition ninja. We have a special guest this afternoon, James from Impel Nutrition.
So we're going to ask James some questions about his company and then also just kind of some general supplement questions. So just kind of to kick it off, what is Impel and how long has it been around?
All right. Yeah. Impel Nutrition is a brand I started almost 2 years ago now. So in July, it'll be 2 years. And, you know, I've been taking supplements for over a decade, almost 2 decades. And just there's so much stuff out there that I'm very passionate about, doing things the right way versus how some people are doing them. So I felt like I could make an impact. And I wanted to bring a community of people together that thought in the way that I did to be better at everything. We may not just be athletes. We may not just be business people or a soccer mom or whatever. You know, you're trying to do all these different things. So Impel Nutrition is the fuel to drive that inner portion of your life to be the best you can be in every aspect. So we pride ourselves on doing creative things with our supplements, but also high quality, third party tested. And you know, there's just a couple stakes in the ground that I have, like 30 serving products. Like I'm a stickler for that. That's how I grew up, and everybody's going to 25, 20, and you got to buy like 2 bottles a month. I just don't understand it. So, you know, I was just very passionate about it. So I was like, I'm gonna put my foot out there. I kind of knew where to go and what things to do.
So it's almost like kind of cutting corners just to have that little bit of profit margin when they dump the serving size down.
Yeah, of course, because the bottle looks the same, the consumer looks at it the same, but then when you look at it, I mean, some of these products are $2 a serving, so I mean, I can shave $10 off of that per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the customer's eyes, so you're still paying $40 for 25 serving.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, that company can shave a couple of dollars off their raw material costs. That's just more profit in their pocket.
And so you mentioned athletes, just regular working people. So you were saying that a lot of people that take your supplements don't even really frequent the gym too often. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. Like, so in this cup, I've got our pre-workout GSD Pre, but it also works as like an energy drink replacement. So about half the clients that I have that buy this are customers. They don't work out, you know, they just have really intense jobs where they have to be focused. They have to be in the zone all day. So the 2 forms of caffeine and the nootropics really just kind of get them in the zone to be able to get shit done.
That's perfect. I mean, James just told me right now that I can actually drink this instead of drinking, say, for example, a energy drink, which I always drank his pre-workout prior to, say, for example, back there leg day. And let me tell you what, his stuff is good because some people like to have that feeling where they tweet. I personally don't like that feeling. I just needed to kick my workout and just be a little bit awake. And I guess it's more of the nootropic factor that really a lot of people in our gym love.
Yeah, and I think really what you notice is like the guys that are real young in the gym,
Yep.
They're 3, 4, 5 years in the gym. You know, they may just still be on that high stem. They feel like they need that punch to get going.
That's right.
And then you get guys that are a little bit more mature that understand time under tension, you know, mind-muscle connection. They want to be in the zone.
Yeah.
They want that energy and the performance, but they don't want to be hyper-stimulated where, I mean, I've seen all of us work out. We have really intense workouts, and if your heart's racing and feeling like it's about to explode, you know, on leg day, that's going to cost you 1 extra set that you probably could have got. And that's where the growth happens.
Plus, caffeine in huge doses can be a vasoconstrictor and actually reduce the amount of blood flow that you get, which is like the opposite of what you want to do, basically.
Right. Yeah. Some of these have, 800-900 milligrams of caffeine.
Man, that's crazy. I've seen people who really like that feeling. The problem is, like you said, it's not really going to do anything for your workout. Just because you're hyped up, that doesn't mean that you're going to actually get a good workout.
Right, exactly. And so that's why kind of like I've always steered towards this type of product. You know, there was nothing that really I felt like I could take as a really good pre-workout. You know, I work out at 4 a.m., so I need something that gets me going.
That's right.
But then also something that I could take during the middle of the day or when I'm sitting down. You know, because I was going to school, sleeping 4 hours a night, having a full-time career, raising a kid, you know, coaching baseball. And then I would sit down and have to write an essay for my MBA, and it's like, it's 10 o'clock at night. I need to be in the zone, but I also still need to sleep in 2 hours.
That's
So,
right.
not be hyper caffeinated.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of where I like put this together. And I was like, if this works for me, I know it'll work for a ton of other people. And so far it's been great.
Yeah, I like that product. Me personally, I recommend that to my clients because, I'd say 90% of the people that we train, there's a 10% that probably don't take pre-workout. But the 90 majority of us, we all take pre-workouts. It may be several times a day, but I'm gonna have to recommend them to do that just in the afternoon instead of drinking like a bang.
Yeah, and I mean, I've always been a cost-conscious guy. So like, $2-3 for a canned energy drink, where this comes out to be like $1.33 a serving. I mean, from the kind of cheap side of me, I'm like, hey, yeah.
Well, I was gonna say too. Plus, you could do a half a scoop versus you don't want to drink a half a bang, put it back in the fridge, and save it till tomorrow.
Yeah, you're right.
Plus, the bang doesn't have really an nootropic. This one, I personally can tell you right now, guys, this thing has a nootropic, and it makes me really focus. I have long days too. I start mine at 4 a.m. So, say for example, I drink mine in the middle of the day after a back workout, and I'm still feeling good, but I am not racing when I go home.
Right. So, yeah, and that's the alpha GPC that's in there. So that's a choline source. And I don't know how far you guys want me to kind of go.
No, go ahead.
I'm down to learn stuff.
Okay, all right, cool. So, alpha GPC is a very specific choline source, and choline's in all kinds of food, eggs, fish. But so your body uses choline to manage focus and create attention. So what that does is it crosses through the blood-brain barrier, increases your cognition, increases your focus. So that's kind of what gives you that, oh snap, I'm in the zone. So you also see like CDB choline and choline bitartrate. Those are different forms that don't process as well through the blood-brain barrier.
Gotcha.
So alpha GPC is a very expensive form because it's so effective. But the other thing we use is huperzine A, which is ancient Chinese peat moss. And that is acetylcholine esterase inhibitor.
Could you say that again?
Yeah, it's acetylcholine esterase inhibitor. So an esterase is something your body releases to break down, some other ingredient or protein in the body. So what this does is it blocks your brain from pushing you back down to normal, because your brain wants to stay normal, right? Your whole body wants to stay in homeostasis. So your brain's trying to fight this, and so this huperzine steps in and says, no, we're going to be hyper excited for a while, and it's all good. So it blocks it from breaking it down. So you end up with like 3 to 4 hours of just increased cognition, and that's one of the reasons it works so well.
And that's why I like it.
And it's crazy too. My mind just goes to like the synergistic effects of things. Like 1 + 1 = 3 in a lot of cases.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't just add; it multiplies.
And you'll notice, we use I would say a smaller dose of alpha GPC because a lot of people will just dump it in there. And so if you put a bunch in there, that could work. But I'm a big believer that you could put a smaller amount and spread it out more and get the same effect out of it, because you can actually overstimulate your brain with these nootropics and you get kind of in this fog, and it actually slows you down. And for me, that's something that I can't risk to kind of overdo.
Yeah, just like when your body's all bombarded with stims, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, it becomes counterproductive at a certain point.
That makes sense. Talk about your isolate, because I personally love that isolate. When James came out with that isolate, I put a few people on him, and he has this particular flavor. Is it chocolate?
We're actually we've ran out of that, and we're having to reformulate that with everything that's happened with COVID and different manufacturing issues. So we're going to come out with a chocolate peanut butter and a vanilla milkshake. So that's the two that I'm working on now.
I like your isolate because, one, people like me have a little bit of digestion issues. It sits well. Yeah. So, I mean, you can definitely tell if your protein powder is good, depending, because everybody's different. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I personally like to use isolate, and when I try this product, it sat really well. So there's a few people I know even did contest prep with Impel, and towards that phase that we used whey protein, it sat well in their stomach. So
yeah, so we just use a really high quality whey protein isolate, so it's 90% pure.
Gotcha.
That's another little sidebar. Like you'll see on a lot of the things where they say like 100% whey protein. Okay, they're just telling you that that's all the protein in there comes from whey isolate. that it's not a 2 different source. But there is no 100% whey protein isolate.
It's a play on words.
Yeah, it is. And so you'll notice, like in our packaging, we say pure protein,
Yep.
or pure whey protein. Just because it's one of those things that I want to be a little more clear to the consumer of what you're actually getting. So it's a 90% yield of protein. And then we use stevia for sweetener, no soy lecithin. We're actually getting away from any kind of creamers altogether and just using MCT oils on this next batch. So the whole goal is it to be super clean, only one allergen in there, so you're not throwing other things, and you can really, like when you get into contest prep, or if you have dietary issues, you can really zone in on, okay, hey, this fits in my diet and it sits well.
You don't have
and
to do a lot of process of elimination.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's going to bang and it's going to hit well. Digest, it has some digestive enzymes in there, but just really good flavoring. I think that nowadays, the way the technology is with flavor systems, there's no reason it shouldn't taste good.
That's right. You remember back in the days?
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't actually mix up. You're sitting there and you got to shake it the whole time. It's still clumpy and it tastes like dirt. So there's no reason it should nowadays. So we've been really just honing down, the manufacturing and the flavor systems of this one. So we're about 6 months into the new flavors, and I'm hoping we can launch in the next 10 weeks.
Are there any new supplements that you plan on launching here soon, James?
Yeah. So the coolest one is a greens and longevity blend that I'm working on.
Oh, nice.
So, I'm about to be 36. And I know we're all kind of in that second tier. We're not old dudes yet.
I am. Go ahead.
Trying to help
Y'all
you
got
out.
some time on me.
You look old, you don't look old, so we'll leave it there. But so I'm just starting to focus on, what can I do to maintain the longevity,
I like that.
be around, for the brand, be around for my family. So, greens are super important. It's really hot right now, but I don't see the point in just doing a green. So, we're going to have all your main vitamins in there. We're going to have stuff in there for heart health, liver health.
So it's all together.
It's all together.
Okay.
So you take 1 scoop of this greens, and you should eliminate probably 20 pills that you take every day.
I like that.
And so, it's a premium product, but it's one of those things where you got to order all these things on Amazon, and if you're like me at all, you miss reordering this month, and is it worth this other $30 right now? I just went on vacation and blah blah blah.
Correct.
And so next thing you know, you're taking 3 out of the 20 things you're supposed to take. Now this is one. It's on autopilot.
I like how you did that, man, because now you have a combination there, which is essentially what people need.
Right.
Because if you remember back in the days, and we probably had uncles who were into, not necessarily competitive bodybuilding, but into working out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you remember, nobody really cared about taking a liver supplement. Nobody cared about their kidneys. They just took your multivitamin and some, your basic vitamin C. But now, athletes, bodybuilders, not just bodybuilders, but athletes in general, they have everything from your heart, your liver, your kidneys. Everybody's taking different things because now we care about, we think, hey man, I'm not trying to look jacked just for the 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to look good and be healthy after my career's over. You know
Right.
what I mean?
And normal people that are just working out a little bit or whatever. I mean, we're not getting the types of foods that we need anymore.
Of course.
Even if you're just an average person, you're eating out a couple times a week, our food is not as high quality as it was 30, 40 years ago.
That's true.
So we need to supplement in these ways and kind of pay attention to the things that we're seeing. I mean, heart failures happen earlier and earlier, liver damage, kidney damage from all these different environmental factors that we have now. So just trying to in my mind, it's like an internal shield that I'm just trying to put up around all my organs so that I can be 70, 80 years old and like these guys you see that they still look good, they still move around.
'Cause that's the goal by the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to think about your empire, and at the same time, you want to be able to live. You know what I mean?
And enjoy that and be around for my grandkids.
Exactly.
I mean, I've sacrificed a lot of my younger years to be able to set up my son for the future. I would love to be around and maybe enjoy some of those years.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, you will.
That's kind of the real staple product that we have coming. We're also going to do just a standalone liver and heart product that's just geared towards really protecting the liver. And the ingredient that we're going to use is Tudka. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yes.
But I mean, it's been proven to lower your ALT and AST levels.
Which is ursenic acid.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, like I had a back injury about 5-6 years ago, and like I had popped a lot of ibuprofen some weeks, and it will raise your liver value. So you don't have to be doing a lot. Yeah, and I don't drink, you know. So if you're a heavy drinker, if you take, you know, some of those, we'll say special supplements,
correct.
You know, and you know, just if you take a lot of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, you will have liver issues, and even minor stuff we can protect and extend our longevity.
Just in general, that supplement alone, the heart and liver supplement, I think even if you're not an athlete, man, I think you need to take that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those things where I think it fits in anybody's, but it's just whether or not they value it to put it in their plan, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think a lot of people, you know, are looking for the fat burner, the creatine, the pre-work, like how do I increase my performance, grow my muscle, and, you know, burn fat. And it's like, they don't realize your body doesn't like to do that if you're not healthy in the first place.
Yeah, so we kind of skip over that. We're just like, yeah, but how do I get big and strong? And it's like, well, you know, everything has to function right. It's like a car. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can put the highest octane in there, the biggest turbo, but, you know, if the rear end's about to blow out, you're going to be stuck on the side of the road.
Absolutely. And speaking about Tudka, so basically it used to be milk thistle is kind of the go-to for liver, and now Tudka's kind of surpassed that, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, so you had milk thistle, and you had red clover extract, and, you know, hawthorn berry. You had a couple of these things where, I mean, the studies show that they have some effect. But, you know, with Tudka, it has such a exorbitant effect that people are concerned that the FDA actually step in like they did with N-acetylcysteine.
Which another story, I don't agree what they did. I was taking glutathione before even, this is like 3 years ago. There's a company that was selling their glutathione, and it was actually injectable. Mm-hmm. It was like from a rejuvenation company.
Yep.
So now these companies are coming out, and I particularly take one which I bought from Setria. That's the name. Setria.
Yep.
Right, and
it's actually the only one that has been proven as an oral glutathione that's bioavailable. Most glutathione, if you take it through, it gets destroyed in your stomach.
That's right. You know, it has to be in injectable form, for example. And, you know.
Yeah, most people don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
I don't want to pin every day, right? Yeah. So that makes me think, why did the government try to outlaw this? Maybe it's really doing some health benefits for us.
Yeah. I mean, so N-acetylcysteine, or
we did not kill ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, you know, N-acetylcysteine has been around since the 60s. Okay, it's been one of the cheapest ingredients that you can get. Yep. But in the last year with COVID and everything, it became very, very popular.
That's it.
Because it is effective. I mean, it is so effective that, you know, 400 milligrams a day can boost your immune system that well.
Protects you from free radicals, man.
Yeah,
you know?
And you know, whether or not the FDA has really put a stamp on it, what's happened is Amazon has. And so Amazon is such a big player in this, and they can kind of create their own rules that everybody else is stepping off.
So wait a second, so Amazon's still selling NAC?
They're not supposed to be. So they're the ones that, okay, so let's back up. So the FDA sent out 3 warning letters to 3 different companies selling hangover cures in 2019. Okay, that contained NAC. Okay, because in our arena, you can have a claims-based or a substance-based claim, not an actual cure-based claim. So you can say, hey, it appears to do such and such. And that's why you'll see like the way branding is on a lot of supplements, and they have asterisks and this, that, and the other, right? So you have to be careful. But if you say, hey, cures hangovers, you know, boost your immune system 1,000%, blah, 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 and you don't have any kind of scientific case study behind it.
So it's mostly anecdotal.
Yeah. And so when you start saying things like that, the FDA steps in and says, hey, well, you can't do that. But then you get people that take this left, right, all that, and Amazon steps in and then they go, okay, hey, you know what? We're not allowing anybody to sell NAC on our platform anymore.
Okay.
But there's such a big player in that market that, brands start pulling it because they want to be sold on Amazon.
Yeah.
And then you get manufacturers that, they hold all the liability.
Correct.
For a lot of this stuff. So they just go, you know what? We're not putting in any more products until we know what the FDA is going to do. Because they didn't go any further. They just put those warning letters out, which just basically.
So like right now, if you're on your computer, or on your phone, and you want to order Cetria, you can't order it anymore through Amazon?
You can order Cetria because it is glutathione. It is not N-acetylcysteine.
Can you explain what all of that stuff is for me and for everyone else here?
So N-acetylcysteine is a nutrient that is once again found, in food sources. And actually, that's something we can talk about real quick is, so most supplements have what's called GRAS status, which is generally recognized as safe. And so to get that is basically you have to prove that it is in existence in a significant percentage in the natural environment.
Okay.
So, like anything that comes out generally is at this point just a patented version or a adjusted version of some ingredient that we already have.
Gotcha.
Because most of them hold on to this GRAS status and it expedites getting it to the market. That being said, so NAC is just a super common ingredient, but it actually boosts the production of glutathione in your body to a level that can't be touched by a lot of things. Then Cetria is a patented form of glutathione, which is the ingredient in your immune system, in your bloodstream that we're trying to increase. So Cetria is a version that can pass through your stomach lining and be absorbed, and actually at 250 milligrams I think it was like a 10 or 20% increase in blood serum levels of glutathione.
So it's all immune system.
Yeah, so it's respiratory protection, immune system.
I take
increase.
500 all year round.
Yeah.
I take 500 all year round. It's even, when I got sick, but I do believe this supplement really not just does all that, it regenerates your liver too. Yep. So I just kind of weird that the government kind of stepped in. So I was like,
and they have, but they haven't, and that's the part that gets kind of lost as everybody's created this big thing. Oh, the FDA is cracking down and they're going to sell it to big pharma, and maybe there was some ulterior motives of why they stepped in and have done certain things, or why they haven't said anything else.
I guess time will find out.
Yeah, we like a lot of ingredients. Phenibut is a really potent sleep aid. It's actually a prescribed drug in Russia, but 5 years ago, the FDA put out these letters, cease and desist. Everybody pulled it, but now, if you go back out there, you can find Phenibut in a bunch of sleep aids.
Right now.
Over the counter, right?
So yeah, they actually, it depends on if they're paying attention to certain things and where the pressure is on what the overall industry decides to do, where the risk is.
Yeah, that supplement industry is really touchy. So, it's very up and up. You never know. I mean, you see what happened to ephedra years ago.
Yep.
Then now we have these other supplements we kind of hear about it, like SARMs, for example. Oh, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. So, it all depends what happens and what time of the year it is. I don't know what the election has to do with that. You know what I'm saying? So, but any more questions, Chris?
So I'm just wondering what your favorite things about running a supplement company are, and kind of some struggles that you've had over the years.
Okay, we'll talk the struggles first, and I'll end with something good on why it's fun to have this. So, we launched a protein, and like I said, we don't want to use any soy lecithin or any creamers, things like that. So we went through all this, probably 5-6 versions of the formula. We get it manufactured, and I did a pre-order, which usually I don't do. But protein's expensive, and I was just trying to get as much hype as I could to make sure people were going to buy into it, because being that young, it was still kind of a risk for me, because why would you buy our protein? we hadn't launched but just a couple products. But so it was getting a lot of steam. Shows up, I'm actually on an IG Live reading the label, and the second thing in there, third thing was soy lecithin. And I'm like, in now, I called my manufacturer and I'm like, hey man, what the hell is going on? Oh, it must have been this, that, and the other. And,
oh man.
And so I get off the phone with him and he's supposed to call me back. He's going to double check some things because I'm like, okay, well maybe the label's wrong, but the product on the inside's right, because that could happen.
Okay.
Is you take the wrong revision of the label file, get that printed,
That's
but
right.
you made the product according. So I was like, we can maybe fix this. But I was sitting there talking to my wife. I'm like, if it's actually in the product, like we can't sell this. I've put a stand down. I've said we're not doing this. Now, anybody else, there's no reason why you couldn't sell it, because people have soy lecithin in everything. It's in Oreos. It's in, some of your cereals. I mean, this shit is everywhere.
Sure.
Can we cuss on this?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. But it's in everything. So it was like, that's not a deal breaker. I could go to the website, click, bam, nobody else would notice.
There you go.
But from me to be able to sleep at night and the integrity that I want to hold in this brand, I mean, I was like, we can't. So either I'm about to eat thousands of dollars of product,
Yep.
and just waste it and then have to reorder again, or, we're going to have to give all these people their money back, wait another 8 to 10 weeks for production.
Oh yeah, because you had pre-orders.
I had pre-orders.
Oh, okay.
So, and my wife, she's my support system, and she's like, it's up to you. Do you think that you could be okay with this any other way? And I said, no, it has to be that way. She said, do it. If we waste, 10 grand, we'll waste 10 grand. But this is what you have to do to be okay. And so I made this big long thing on IGTV or whatever, and nobody wanted their money back. We actually doubled our pre-orders.
That's amazing.
But it allowed me to really see how invested I was in the integrity side of this,
Yeah.
and be able to show that to everybody else. Because, like I said, I mean, it would have been easy to be that kind of guy to just
Of course.
adjust a couple of things, sell the shit, and
You
move
can
on.
sleep better at night, man.
But that's a lot of this is for me to stand on the other side of the table. I mean, I get everything third-party lab tested, and like our pump product cost me $2,500 for that one batch.
Wow.
But that's for me to be able to say, yeah, it does have 5 grams of L-citrulline in there. I can tell you that it does, and it does have this. And then so on top of that is like the protein. I mean, we ran out of protein probably in January, and I've been working since November of just getting more manufactured and getting a new flavor. And, I'll get right to the end. Dude, we've had some awesome proteins ready, and I'm ready to put my money down.
Yep.
And they go, oh yeah, it went up $10 a unit.
I remember you told me
My
about that.
cost.
Oh my
And I'm
goodness.
like, well, now I can't put it in the retailers. And we're talking about ordering, 1,000 units plus, and at $10, so that's an extra 10 grand that I have to
So
put in.
this is
Yeah.
whenever the COVID hit.
Yeah, I mean, so it's all backups from all the supply chain issues with COVID. But so on the positive side, it's like we've had a couple of these issues, but it's like I get so many messages from people, that use this at work, and they're like, hey man, I'm dragging, and this stuff's amazing. I had like one of the best days at work, or I had this interview that I was nervous about, and I crushed it.
There you go.
And then just like just being part of other people's journeys in this, and it being an avenue to have discussions with people on health and wellness. I didn't realize how passionate I was about helping people, and that's kind of what led to this longevity blend and the health line that we're going to launch. Is so many people ask me other things about supplementation and health, where it's like, hey man, I'm seeing X, Y, and Z, and it's like, okay, well, what did your doctor say? Well, they said do this, and I'm like, okay, well, if you also supplement with this, then you can probably see better results.
Of course. Of course.
It's always, if it's serious, go talk to your doctor, because supplements will do only so much. But there's a lot of cool stuff we can do out there through supplementation to help assist people that don't have a major disease. And maybe you can stem that before they have to be on medication.
I
Absolutely.
agree. I totally agree.
or surgery or anything else like that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we talked about the protein powder, the pre-workout, greens and longevity that's to be released,
Yes.
right? As well as the liver and heart that's to be released. So what else do you have currently?
So we've got the caffeine-free thermogenic, chiseled. So it's pill-based.
Tell me the difference between that and somebody taking a caffeine-based thermogenic.
Well, so one thing that I don't like about caffeine-based capsules is you're in it. You know, like you pop those pills, they're going to digest, and that's going to release in your body, you know, at whatever rate. So let's say you've already had a pre-workout and you pop this fat burner that has a bunch of caffeine in it. You may get overstimulated. You remember the old Stacker 2s?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well I remember people
Oh
pop
my
those
God,
and then
yeah.
all of a sudden you're like wigged out and on
Oh
the
my
floor
God.
wanting to throw up. I always hated that. But also is that if you're taking a fat burner in the afternoon, you know, you've got like a PM cardio, something like that,
Yep.
man, you don't want to be stemmed out of your
No,
mind where you
absolutely
can't
not.
sleep. You know, and I was thinking about it from the way that I diet a lot, and the way a lot of my friends diet is, you know, you get in competition prep is you're dieting cardio in the morning,
Yep.
then cardio at night. And then you have problems sleeping because this, that, and the other. But so with the ashwagandha that's in there, it really helps bring some of the stress down. And when you take it at night, it actually can help you sleep.
So, for example, an individual has to do their cardio at, let's just say, 6 o'clock p.m. And they had a long day, so they've been up since 5. So if this person pops it at, let's just say, 4:30, that thing is not going to linger in their system. So by like 9 o'clock, they can go to
Yeah, the couple of stimulatory things that are in there are going to be processed and out by then.
And that's one thing, guys, you have to really think about. I mean, like what James was explaining, I think that too much caffeine, man, that doesn't mean it's the best thing for your adrenal glands. It
Right.
really isn't. So it all comes down to performance and when you need it, and you don't need to be tweaking all day long. So I think
And
that's
one of the interesting things that I like about that, I mentioned the ashwagandha, is like, you know, when you're dieting, most people are stressed out.
Yeah.
And that cortisol will actually help you retain fat rather than burn fat. So the ashwagandha can step in, help bring your cortisol levels down. So it's not just like your body is in the right mode to burning fat. You need your mind and your adrenals in the right mode
That's right.
to burn fat. You know, everything has to come together. And that's what I really tried to do with this is look at it from every way to, you know, increase your metabolic rate, increase fatty acid production, and just all these different things. Some little stuff in there for your thyroid, some stuff for glucose regulation. I mean,
That's perfect. So you
so
get
it's-
every angle back there.
yeah, I think I kind of went overboard on this one, to be honest.
But I mean, it's a perfect blend. It's a perfect blend when you think about it, man. You know, a lot of people think about just because they're burning fat, but that cortisol level is going to be jacked up. You
Yeah.
know, but if you keep that maintained, you're still going to be burning fat, and you're still going to be okay.
And I think with one of my original approaches was, I know a lot of guys go to the extreme and they try to use clenbuterol and other things like that that will actually have all these adverse side effects. I wanted something that was as strong and as effective as that, but that was not illegal and
Yep.
that would not have all these other repercussions on your body.
I like that. I like that. So, come check that product out. James, what's the name of that product?
Chiseled.
Chisel. And where can we get your products, by the way?
ImpelNutrition.com.
Perfect. Any place you can
Yeah, I'm trying to give you-
that and Fitness Junkie too.
Yeah, I mean,
We
so
still
we're in 15 retailers in the Southeast, and then there's 4 stores in Kentucky we're in. So we're just gradually trying to expand our wholesale base.
Perfect.
You know, I'm constantly on the road going to visit stores, doing expos, things like that to try to increase, you know, brand awareness because,
Of course.
you know, being a smaller brand, there's, you know, 1,000 brands out there. But for me, like face-to-face interaction is where I think I can show the difference between us and some random company you found on the internet.
That, and if your product really is what it is and it's legit, and I can tell you it's legit, then your product's going to shine no matter what. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
James, man, where are you going next week? I heard you're going to somewhere else to an expo,
Yeah,
right?
so we're going to the Europa UBU Expo in Orlando, July
Nice.
2nd and 3rd. So that's going to be a big weekend for us. Then we'll be in Navarre for a powerlifting meet at Fortis Fitness, July 10th. then Atlanta for the Georgia Championship, July 17th, then the Dexter Jackson, July 31st, then we got the Max Fit Classic here, and Daytona Beach. We're just going to be all over the place.
That's perfect. You're traveling everywhere, trying to promote the brand, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, because like you said, I think the products shine. Everything that we do on the back end shines. It's just we've got to get in front of more people.
That's right. That's right.
And nowadays, everybody's fighting on the internet. I figure I'll beat the streets.
That's right. And I personally think that, not to talk smack about other products, but there's a lot of products out there that it's not that I don't trust them, because I personally tried them, but you know for a fact it's not legit. If you're saying 100 mgs of this, it ain't 100 mgs of that.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to touch on in general is just if you're somebody brand new to this whole thing and you walk into the store, let's say you don't know about Impel or whatever, you just kind of want to know like if something's good quality or not. Like, what are some key things that you want to look for?
Okay, so the first things that I would look for are transparent labeling. So nothing with a proprietary blend. And so what that is you look on the label and it'll say, focus blend, 5 grams, and then it just lists a bunch of things. No, you want to know everything that's in there at the dose that it's supposed to be in there. That's step one. After that, I would just look at the overall layout of the packaging, see if there's any red flags, things that are misspelled, things that don't look like they should be. They don't have contact information. They don't have just the shape of their labels and the serving size amounts. I would always check that weight-wise with the front.
That's crazy.
Another thing that I like to check is it'll say the serving size, let's say it's 10 grams. Okay, and then I go through the list, right? And I can only find 5 grams of actives.
The rest is artificial colors. And
BS
flavors.
that's in there. You're getting fillers and colors and sweeteners. So that to me says a big deal about the brand is, okay, if it's 16 grams of for a serving and you got 15 grams of actives, that means you've got 1 gram of sweeteners and coloring. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But if you've got a 15 gram scoop and 10 grams of actives, I'm going to be a little more concerned about what else is in there.
Because you do like a scoop of protein. I think off the top of my head, like a lot of scoops is like 32 grams, and then a quantity of protein is like 25 grams or something like that.
And protein is a whole another ball game, because like we were saying, where it's a 90% yield. So you may have 30 grams, and actually let's just make this easier for everybody. Let's say you have 10 grams of protein and 90% yield is 9 grams of protein out of that 10 gram scoop.
Yeah.
Okay, but you also have a whey protein concentrate 85, the WBC 85, which is 85%. Then you have a 35%, and then you have people that just mix and match and put fillers in. So you have to be careful when it comes to protein. And really good brands are starting to do this. They actually put the yield of protein in there. They'll say, okay, you get 25 grams of protein from 30 grams of whey protein isolate.
So that rule is still going to be the same. You want the protein grams to be as close to the serving size as possible. It's just going to be more of a difference than some other size.
Yeah, and so depending on how much fat's in there, so you have to account for a lot more with protein. But as far as just regular pre-workouts and things like that, I would say that's a really good way to look at it. And then you can try to find if they talk about third-party lab testing, because some of this stuff is you can nail the label, but in the end, a label's a label. You don't know what's inside the bottle.
And there's a lot of companies now who do that. They make sure we have third-party testing, because back in the days, we're surprised. We're like, oh, this guy did that, but nine out of the 10 don't have a third-party testing.
And that's what kind of floored me when I really started to get into it. Is you would think that the FDA would require that. Like, hey, you got to test all your products. You don't. You don't.
Any Joe Schmo can come up with a blend there by himself.
You could be making this stuff out of your bathtub, honestly, and you could sell a large amount of this product before you would get on the FDA's radar and have any kind of interaction. You would have to really have some kind of adverse effect where somebody ended up in the hospital. Then they could directly link that to your product. FDA would send out a very, very harsh letter. But so really third-party lab testing, and don't be confused because it should be a full lab test.
Gotcha.
You know, sometimes they will test for just one thing. Sometimes, and there is a brand that I won't say their name, but they claim to be very transparent. It's in their name. But they post on their website, and it's actually a COA, a certificate of analysis, which means absolutely nothing. That just means, like, if I sold you this bottle, I wrote you a letter that said, yes, this is a bottle.
Anybody can say that.
Yeah, and you sign at the bottom. Oh. So that's not like sending it to a lab that I don't own, that these people don't know me, and then they run it through their spectrometer, chromography, all that, and then the HPLC, and then they
5 grams of this, 10 grams of that.
Okay, you said it's supposed to be 5 grams. It actually has 5,063 milligrams, so you're slightly over.
Okay.
Which is good because in good manufacturing practices, you have an overage allowance that they put in to ensure that they're hitting that bottle quantity throughout the mix.
That's right.
So because, you know, they mix these things in these giant hoppers and these mixers, and then they funnel them to each container. So even if the mix is very homogeneous, you may have, you know, you don't want it to be 49.98 because that's not 5.
But that's still good, but yeah, you want it to be a little
right. You know, that's good, but like on the internet, if you post that, some guy's gonna be like, well, your label claims 5 and you shorted me. and you're like, it's 50 grams that they tested out of that container. But
so now you got me wondering, like, I feel like people are more they're comfortable walking into a big name supplement store because these stores just have, I feel like if I see a protein powder in a chain store, it's like it had to do something to get there. Is that not the case? I mean, how many percent of these products in these stores, just off the top of your head, a rough number, 50% kind of meet these standards or not even?
I would say what you end up with like if you're shopping at Walmart, okay, these guys aren't blatantly lying or doing anything wrong. But what I will say is the level of honesty is very small. So there is a very, very big name company that has a product that is considered a meal replacement, has all these different protein sources, okay, different from different animal sources, right? But somebody took that, sent it to a lab, had it tested. There is less than 2%.
You say 2%?
Less than 2% of those animal products in there. The majority of the protein and everything comes from oats.
Wow, but they didn't say that on that label.
And technically they're not wrong because it's in there.
But that still should be basically like the first ingredient in the ingredients list, shouldn't it?
It should, yeah.
But so why is that company not getting in trouble?
Because
this is that gray area you said, oh, we have 5 different ones. That doesn't mean I'm saying 70% of this.
Right, because they don't tell you that, hey, you know, you're getting 20 grams from animal sources.
I got you.
You're getting 20 grams of protein from these sources.
You can maybe a speck of a little bit of beef protein.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, when you get into like really how complete is that beef protein, you know, because like bovine collagen is not a complete protein. I've seen it in products as protein. And then, you know, the big thing a few years ago was amino spiking, where if you don't run the right testing in the lab, is certain amino acids will process as extra protein content.
So when you say complete protein, that basically means it has all the essential amino acids. And without all of the essential amino acids, your body can't really utilize that protein to build muscle.
It may not activate muscle protein synthesis as well. So, you know, and that's what we're all looking for in, you know, a protein supplement, right? Is to activate muscle protein synthesis, rebuild the muscle we broke down. So, you know, having an incomplete protein is not going to give your body all of the building blocks that it needs to actually build that muscle.
And this is why it's hard for like vegetarians. You have to combine like rice and pea to try to get the equivalent of egg white or something like that.
Right, and you're still gonna struggle, and that's where like our amino acids, we use a fermented plant amino, And so we have all 9 essential amino acids. Some of those, I think 2 of them are from animal sources because it's just so expensive. And at the time they weren't producing them very well. But the majority of the essential amino acids in our product are from fermented plants. And so I recommend that to a lot of vegetarians because it's not quite vegan, but they're missing those things. So if you're not eating like pistachios and soybeans and, like garbanzo beans and all these different things every single meal, and you're on one of these restrictive diets, you're missing out on some of these essential aminos.
Okay. So I don't know if you want to just rattle off real quick without going in too much detail if we're missing any other products that you have right now.
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
We've got the regular pre-workout, the non-stim pump, the caffeine-free fat burner,
right.
and the essential amino acid blend.
Okay.
And then the protein.
Okay. Cool. So is there anything else you wanted to ask about Impel specifically? Because I just kind of want to get into just a couple of just general like supplement.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it, Chris.
So I'm wondering, for me, like as far as my clients go, I don't typically, I might have 30 different things downstairs, but it's like, I don't really want to tell my client to get that because some of it might be like a 0.1%, marginal difference that I'm willing to spend the money on. But it's just a huge, pain in the ass for most people. So I'm wondering, what are some basic supplements that you feel pretty much everyone should take? I pretty much stick with simple things like whey protein, a multivitamin, maybe a fish oil, sometimes a creatine, depending on what the goals are, essential amino acids. And that's pretty much it. Maybe a carb powder if you're not in too much of a restricted phase.
What about you, John?
What Chris said was perfect. I mean, you definitely have to have your multivitamin. I personally believe multivitamin. That's then the next would be aminos and protein. So if I could go down the chain, I'd definitely multivitamin and a good protein powder source. That would be number 2. And of course, aminos. I think the protein and aminos have to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think, they're taking other stuff. And I'm like, but you don't have any aminos. I'm like, you gotta take care of the other stuff first. You know what I mean? Like, make sure you got enough aminos. So, and of course, a reputable one, because there's a bunch of things out there which, it's crazy because they have different flavors. So now they're coming up with this flavor, that flavor, stuff that you can buy from Sonic fast food. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, is it really aminos in there, dude? You know what I mean? Is it really aminos in there? So
In that one, yes.
And
I'll see those guys.
So, and before you go into that, so my question was like basic supplements for everyone, but also, is there a better way to, can you put together a supplement regimen based on your specific needs without getting extreme, lab testing done, or is it more of just a...
Yeah, I think so, from a basic perspective, I actually stand a little bit different from both of you guys, because I think most multivitamins are garbage.
Okay.
And I think most people... if they're deficient in something significantly, what they're deficient in isn't there in enough levels in a regular multivitamin, so you're shotgun approaching it. So, you're getting all these little tiny portions of stuff in most of these multis, because let's be honest, when you say, hey, take a good multivitamin, somebody's going to go buy Sensosil or something like that where, okay, I mean, for an 80-year-old guy, maybe that's okay.
So what I take and typically recommend, and you tell me what you think without bashing them too. I know, I'm just kidding. Is Gold Stand, or it's
Optimal
I'm
Nutrition.
I'm talking about protein now. No, it's Garden of Life Gold. It's little green. It comes in a liquid.
We can look at the label
know what I'm
later.
talking about?
I don't know the brand off the top of my head.
Go grab it.
But I mean, I think if you're buying a multivitamin, buy it from a performance-based company or a reputable
company.
Like for me, I like what NutriBio does.
Okay.
They do a lot of third-party lab testing. They're very clear on their labeling, stuff like that, and they have some good performance multivitamins because they try to put stuff in there at effective doses. I mean, that kind of pixie dusting thing, that's what got me started in this, is I hate that yeah, well, we've got this in there, but it's not going to do enough for the average person. So to me, I always focus on fish oils, vitamin D3, vitamin C, and then vitamin E, some of the time. And that's usually my staple that I won't stray from. Now, there's other things that I'll add in and out. I'm a real big fan of alpha lipoic acid. That's great for people that are close to being diabetic.
Yep.
But if you eat a lot of carbs, it's really great for just helping utilize your glucose better.
So is that like a glucose disposal?
It's
like...
in almost every glucose disposal
Before we
agent
had
you're
the
in.
GDAs, that was part of the protocols to take ALA.
Yep.
Whenever people were carving up the last 2 days, for example, every meal, I remember you would pop ALA. This was before GDA, of course.
Yeah, I mean, so now you've got berberine and banaba and all these different things in these GDAs, but alpha lipoic acid is just like one of those staples. And then if you can get your hands on it, NAC, I think is a staple for everybody because you protect your immune system.
Absolutely.
And you can't, you really can't overdo D3. You really can't overdo vitamin C.
No.
So, if you're a little deficient in it, you can go hard, and then, just kind of maintain a certain regimen of that. And I think that's for everybody.
Especially during the corona, a lot of us had to up our protocols with vitamins, and everybody had their own stack.
Yeah.
You hear celebrities like, oh, I'm taking this. Like me, I never went past 10,000 units of vitamin D3, but I was still taking my NAC, but I never went up to 1,000. I just took 500,
Yep,
500,
yep.
500. But like me, I have bad allergies. So, supplementing with vitamin C, I would take sometimes 4 grams a day.
Yeah.
It's antihistamine, man. So I was like, besides me taking my Allegra D, it helps.
Yeah,
So
for sure. I mean, they've got the super C packs, the emergency. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's all that is vitamin C.
So I mean, it's interesting. I never thought of it that way because like the multivitamin just being like a blanket thing with not enough. Like what I think of as an example, like I tell clients all the time, like someone wants to increase their flexibility and they don't, it's just random person off the streets doesn't have much experience. What do? They try to touch their toes or whatever.
Right.
It's like, well, maybe your hip flexors are tight, maybe your lats are tight, but they all just go to that touch your toes or these basic stretches that just everybody knows. So
Exactly.
I kind of feel like almost what you're saying about the multivitamins, it's almost like that. Like you can kind of pinpoint and get much more specific in what you are specifically deficient in.
Yeah, and you can take that to the nth degree. As you become more aware of yourself and what you're doing. Like for me, I don't supplement with a ton of ashwagandha because I don't feel like I'm stressed all the time. But I know people that take, 2 grams of ashwagandha a day to just help with their stress because they know that they're a high anxiety person. You may have, let's say, some kind of kidney issues in your family. So maybe you take a high dose of curcumin all the time, which that's another one that I think at a mild dose most people get a great benefit from because it also helps from anti-inflammatory, but just overall free radical issues. So,
and that's what you want.
that is the cool thing about supplementation is because as you have these different aspects of your life, these different hurdles that are coming through your health as you get older, you can find there's an ingredient out there that will have some significant benefit to help you get through this. And that's why one of the guys that I'm good friends with online is like, they ask, hey, what's the best? There is no best.
That's right.
It's what's best for you at that point in time.
Correct. Like there's so many plants out there that you can be used for different things. Like say for example, well-being, take this. And one is for stress. And ashwagandha is one of those things later on for your mood. So you don't have to take these 20 different herbs.
Right.
But pick 1 or 2 that you feel like, man, I need this right now. I need to calm down a little bit. I'm so stressed at work. Or you know what? I can't sleep at night. Maybe I need this. So those 2 are perfect.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be an advocate to yourself and your own health. And like you said, as you get older and as you get more aware of your fitness routine, because it changes. The James probably 10 years ago wanted to be 300 pounds. But now he's like, I want to stay healthy. I want to be fit as hell, but I want to live another 60 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
And guys like you really come in where people have these questions and go, hey, I'm dealing with X, Y, and Z. Hey, you're my coach. What do I need to do? And then that's where you can tailor these things to each individual client.
That's
because,
it.
hey, maybe this guy is high stress, but this guy, he can sleep 8 hours a day, and he gets up at 10 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't have stress. So, maybe we need to stress him a little bit more and push him. And so that's where opening up these conversations with your clients and figuring out, hey, how can we do this? How can we do that?
Absolutely. And of course the telltale is your blood work too. Somebody comes up to Chris and like, here's my last blood work. Obviously, I say, for example, I need to lose 70, 80 pounds because I'm a big guy, right?
Yeah.
So I give Chris my last blood work, and with that blood work, he can tell, like, okay, well, this guy's deficient. This, besides the fact I need to eat healthier too.
Right.
So now he can cater to something, well, we need to do this, do that. On top of that, we need to supplement with this, and see your next blood work. How's it working?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing approach, and I think that's what separates a lot of good coaches from just people who are just fleecing people on the internet is that, hey, are we improving month to month from blood work to blood work?
That's it.
I know some coaches that don't even ask for blood work.
No.
But I mean, even me, I don't coach people, but when somebody asks me, hey, I've been doing X, Y, Z and I'm not losing weight and I'm not doing this, and go, when's the last time you had your blood work done?
That's it.
Because your body could be fighting you, and you could have every workout plan and meal plan under the sun.
Absolutely.
But if your body's not in line, it's not going to work.
Oh yeah, that holds true. I mean, even the best athletes, if they're doing that and they're genetically gifted and they have the resources, they're still doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's telling a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So real quick, if we go down the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that you mentioned, again, we know this isn't necessarily for everyone, but just kind of, if there was 6 most common supplements, what would be the main benefits of, if we start with fish oil?
So, I mean, fish oil is going to be amazing for your heart and for your joints. There's some good research as far as brain health, the right levels of DHA. So most people are deficient in that, and us as a society, we don't eat a lot of fatty fish anymore. So, I think 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of the right blend of EPAs.
The right brand. Remember that.
So you're getting your right omega-3s and all that. D3, oh my God. I mean, what doesn't it do? And most people are deficient in D3 because we spend so much time inside.
Yeah.
We're not getting the sunlight that we need. So it's just all around your overall metabolic health, mental health.
It's amazing that tiny little gold pill can do for you.
I feel like it's mushrooms are like the only food source for D3 or something. I feel like it's, I don't
know.
So C.
I mean, vitamin C. So, I mean, that's, your immune system, shuttling different things through your body. It helps in production of collagen. So vitamin C is one of these carrier vitamins. It's involved in so many different reactions in your body. And also you need so much of it all the time.
That's right.
That, we're not eating a lot of citrusy fruits. I'm not a big fan of orange juice, but that's another thing. So I take a lot of vitamin C. And then so alpha lipoic acid, like I said, that's glucose. It has some other free radical stuff in there. It does a lot, but I think the biggest benefit is just the glucose regulation.
Which will help keep blood sugar levels lower.
Right, which will help your energy levels and your overall daily function. And NAC, that's your immune system. That's free radicals. That's all longevity stuff.
Yeah, get it while you can.
Yeah, stock up if you can find it.
So, do you have any questions, John?
No, that's it, man. I mean, he pretty much went through the whole supplement list and kept us informed about his new line, the upcoming line that's coming up, the health and wellness, the greens. And any more things you got to say, James?
No, I just appreciate your guys' time. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
And, if you guys are looking for us, it's at Impel Nutrition on all the social media and impelnutrition.com.
By the way, James is about half a foot taller than both of us. He got the short chair, so next time we'll give him the taller chair.
That's right. Come check James out, man. Like I said, in his website. And if you guys go to Fitness Junkie, they sell the products there as well. and he'll be traveling. So, what's your Instagram page, James?
My personal is Impel_CEO. That way, everybody kind of knows who I am.
Perfect. James, thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much.
All right.
That's not how that works.
Hold on. All right. See you guys next time.
Thank you.